Let's go to the sensor screen now. Notice that it's locked. We'll go to the System Settings screen and unlock it. Now that it is unlocked, the tab has turned to green. The controller can support up to 8 wired temperature probes. 4 probes attached to a hub on the black jack socket, and 4 probes attached to a hub on the green jack socket. The pink jack socket is for a pressure sensor only. Do not plug a probe or hub into the pink socket. 2 probes can be attached directly to the controller through the black and green sockets. To assign a new probe, plug the probe into the hub or the controller and wait. The controller looks for probes in temperatures once every minute. When a new probe is discovered, the controller will send a notification to your phone. The new probe's unique ID will show in the probes table. When a new probe has been notified, and the new probe ID appears in the probes table, touch the new probe in the table. The probe's ID will appear in the probe name field. You can now give it a user-friendly name, and assign it to a task using the Assign to drop-down. Active tasks are: Beer. Task the probe to measure the beer's temperature. Ambient. Task the probe to measure the ambient temperature of your fermentation fridge. Air. Task the probe to measure air temperature, typically your brewing environment. Deregister probe. Remove the name and task assignment for this probe. Delete all probes. Remove the name and task assignments for all probes. Common ambient, useful for double fermentations in the same fridge. Make a single probe responsible for the ambient temperature for all ferments. Common air. Make a single probe responsible for reporting the air temperature for all ferments. If you forget to make a task assignment for a probe, then its name will appear in all fermenters until you complete its registration. If you want to move a probe from one fermenter to another, then first you must deregister it. Once you have done that, wait until the ID appears in the sensor table. When it appears, move to the fermenter tab you want to task it to. Touch the probe in the table, and then repeat the assignment process. Probe care. Sometimes you may see a temperature reading of 85 centigrade or 185 Fahrenheit. This is the probe telling you that it may have a faulty connection. If this happens, then power down the controller. Remove all jack plugs from the controller and hubs. Clean the plugs with a dry cloth. Reinsert the plugs, making sure they are all fully seated, and power up the controller. Registering tilts. Power up your tilt. In the tilt color drop-down, select the tilt color. Wait. The controller will start searching for tilts and send you a phone notification once the tilt has been discovered. Assign the tilt to a task. If you want to delete a tilt, then select Delete from the drop-down. To calibrate your tilt, enter the calibration values into the temperature and specific gravity fields. The controller will do the math. You just need to enter the measured values. The controller will work out the variances. Remember, specific gravity is input as a whole number. For example, a specific gravity of 1.055 needs to be input as 1055 or, in English, 1055. ISpinDELL devices. Set up your ISpinDELL so that it points to the controller's IP address. There is a separate video showing how to do this. Once the ISpinDELL has been set up, it will start to send data to the controller. Once the controller receives an ISpinDELL message, it will send you a screen notification to tell you it has found a device. Select the fermenter tab you want the data sent to, allocate the ISpinDELL and assign it a task. Registering Plotto devices. If you have got your authentication code from Plotto, then enter it into the authentication ID field. The controller will ask Plotto for its data every 15 minutes. Pressure sensor. If you have a pressure sensor, you can assign it to a fermenter. Plug the pressure sensor into the pink socket. Do not plug it into the green or black sockets. Do not use a hub. If you have a My Brew Buddy, then you can run up to 2 pressure sensors. To calibrate the pressure sensor, attach it to a pressure vessel charged to 10 psi. Select 10 psi from the Calibrate PSI drop-down. Switch the Start Calibration button to On. Wait. Once calibration for 10 psi has finished, and the UI has returned to normal, reduce the pressure in your vessel to 5 psi and repeat. Repeat the process for 0 psi with all pressure released. The calibration settings will be saved to the controller. Note: it is important to calibrate at all 3 pressure settings. Failure to do so will result in inaccurate results.